Good morning. Good morning. I tried this already. Maybe I shouldn't reveal that, but it is what it is. Somehow my recording on my own phone shut off. Like maybe I shouldn't say this, but I realized that we all use YouTube and other social media accounts to kind of get our words, opinions, facts, historical things, um, studies, documents, documentaries, stuff like that across the world for the world to see. So I'm going to actually comment on a brother named Minister Chris out of, I want to say, the Fort Worth, Dallas uh, area. I'm not really sure. Um, I do recall seeing a video where he approached a Israelite camp uh, in Dallas or in Texas somewhere. And in that video, that brother threatened another black man reading the Bible that that Minister Chris said he was going to punch the teeth down the throat of another black man for reading the Bible. Not for threatening him, not for talking about his wife and kids, not for like the serious like allegations and violations that people do towards another, especially in our communities, quote unquote communities, right? But when you violate somebody and talk about what you're going to do to them physically, as far as harm goes, you're supposed to get your ass handed, point blank. So Mr. Chris had put out a video responding to, I guess, a comment that was given to him about basically his cooning. And you'll have to go to his page. It's Minister Chris something. I'm sorry, I'm not very informed on where his channel page is, but when I saw that interaction that he had, it made me actually subscribe to his channel. And he commented on somebody basically telling him, like, look, man, you still upholding this Christian thought and Christian doctrine, and you basically, and I'm like I said, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to give it to you verbatim. I'm paraphrasing. The comment basically called him a coon for upholding so-called Christian values, right? And anybody who's anybody in 2023, no matter how old you are, um, can look at the internet as a source of information. For a long time now, the internet's been like that, and it's just been more accessible as the years go on, right? So now, his response to that comment was like, yo, anybody can get this. Like, don't think that, you're going to come at me and talk about how much of a coon I am for believing in Christian beliefs and not get this biblical word. So I commented on his post and spoke my thoughts. I gave my opinion, and my opinion on, like, if you're physically threatening somebody who's non-threatening to you, that's some soft stuff. I'm trying to be as polite as I possibly can be. Um, but that's very soft. And we went back and forth in dialogue on his channel, and he went through my channel, which I really don't have like that. Went through my channel and commented because I have a playlist of love songs, and one of the love songs is a Marcus Houston song. I want to say it's Naked, because that's one of my favorite. That beat goes stupid, especially when you're with your lady. I am a married man, been married for a long time, and I like having sensual time with my wife. As a married person, you should like having sensual time that sets the mood for you and your spouse, point blank, right? And he responded in that, calling me soft because I have love songs on a playlist that I play. As if us as married men or married women or people who are dating or single, whatever the case may be, don't have a playlist of love songs on there, and called me soft in regards to that. But if you're going to call me soft on having love songs on the playlist, no matter who it's from, as long as it's not talking about, to me, in my opinion, any stuff dealing with same-sex things, because I don't particularly believe in that, right? You do you. as far as how you live your life, but as far as how I go, my wife is a woman, biologically born, and she gave me my children that I have today. So it turns into he told me, as I would respond to him as brother, like a lot of people dealing with cultural identities. And the big cultural identity right now has kind of surpassed the Christian and the Muslim movement, and it became the Hebrew Israelite movement. I'm not too particular in a Hebrew Israelite. Nigga, I don't speak Hebrew. I'm a nigga at the end of the day. Now, do I believe that that book is a very nationalist book called the Bible? Absolutely. But there's a whole group of people that believe the same thing. They just kind of they erase the New Testament from it and use only the laws and the prophets, also known as the Torah and the Tanakh. But it's a very nationalist book. And even when you mirror the New Testament towards the Torah and Tanakh, even with using Jesus is a very nationalist person. Paul is a very nationalist person. And this so-called minister, tried to throw in scriptures, and on top of that said that I was not his brother because I didn't believe in Christ. Not because he asked me if I believe in Christ or not. Most so-called Hebrew Israelites or black Hebrew Israelites believe in Christ, being the Christ. So even his statements on that it's a very uneducated and very blinded comment to make. Very blinded, because he knows this. Like I said, he threatened a camp to knock a man's teeth down his throat. That camp that he was he was threatening physical violence to, believe in Christ. Matter of fact, Christ is in the name of their group, of their camp. So when I brought up the fact that he threatened this man or those men, I called him soft, and he totally disregarded it. He totally disregarded it just to tell me that I'm going to hell, and if you don't believe in Christ, we're not brothers. And my thing is, like, let's say this, right? Let's say that you are a minister, and this part is not pointed to anyone in particular, especially not Minister Chris. Let's say that you are a minister and you're married, and your spouse, even known and supportive of being married, is a Christian. What if your spouse says, you know what, I'm tired of this Christian thing, it's not working right. Excuse me, it's kind of chilly. And I'm going to then convert to something else like Judaism or Islam, or even being a Hebrew Israelite and keeping the laws of God being more important than the traditions that Christians hold of loving everybody, come as you are, all that stupid shit that has been a force throughout the world. All right. And it's been a force not because that people are converting to it because they believe in it. It was a force because if you don't believe in it, nigga, you're gonna die. And we're gonna put the deaf people around you to force you to convert. And even when I relayed that message to this Christian brother, this minister brother, what if your spouse says, I denounce Christianity and then I convert to this religion or non-religion? If your spouse isn't a believer in Christ, do you now denounce them? Are they now not a brother or a sister to you in Christ? Now, this is your spouse. Like, you lay down intimately with this person, regardless if you have sexual contact or sexual activities at night. You lay down with your spouse at night for bed, hopefully. I mean, some people's work schedules and things, they play a part in things like that in that nature. But no, nonetheless, like, even spending time watching a movie is intimate. Even being in the kitchen while she's cooking the meal, you're washing dishes is intimate, and vice versa. If you're cooking the meal and she's sweeping the floor, even though you shouldn't be sweeping while cooking a meal, but nonetheless, people's households are people's households. But either way, do you now denounce your spouse from being your brother or your sister? Because when it comes down to being a brother and a sister, that's an intimate thing. It doesn't have to be. Intimacy is not sexual. It's just a bond that people share, right? So if you're now going to claim that, well, we're not brothers and sisters in Christ, and that's your spouse, does that now go into we don't have intimacy anymore? Does that now go into we're going to get a divorce now and split up the family and split up the household and the kids? Like the thing with, to me, with Christian values, Christian Judaic values, they get to me because it's only in theory. It's never in behavior. And it only becomes in behavior when they have something to denounce about your behavior. It's never in behavior on what they do, right? So when I started leaning more towards the Bible and what the Bible actually said, and it said, don't do what the pagans do. And then I got around my family, and they're like, oh man, you don't celebrate Christmas or birthdays or Thanksgiving or none of that. You coming around talking about Happy New Moon and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Hanukkah and things like that. They're looking at me strange. And they didn't denounce me. They kind of were standoffish for a while. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, how you doing? And like, oh, babe, we just sit down and have a plate to eat. I just cooked up, this ham, and I got this bacon. Is it beef bacon? Is it turkey bacon? No, what you talking about, silly? No, beef, this is pork. Well, what's wrong with pork? I don't eat that anymore. Oh, why not? They try to soften it. Well, why not? Well, when you go in the Bible, the Most High God, who you think you believe in, told you not to. So being a Christian is only in theory. It's never in action. It's only in action. Well, I can't say it's never in action. It's in action when it comes to condemn you about the things that you're talking about or saying or doing. And then you're doing and saying and behavior of what the Bible actually says. It's crazy. So to that brother, Minister Chris, man, that's the question I pose to you. If your spouse says to you, I'm not a Christian anymore, I don't believe in the way Jesus is taught, is that woman not your sister any longer? I hope that's not the case. Because right now, black love is being tested at a high phenomenal rate just because it's exposed and it's available. And I would hope and pray that any ought that you have with your spouse is looked at as, no, you my spouse, you my husband, you my wife, we have kids, we have a family, and we're going to pull this thing together and be a family. We're not going to separate off of this. There's other things, yes, but you can work through them. No matter how difficult, how easy it is, you can work through them. And I would hope that brother, Minister Chris, does not denounce his family because his family says they're not brothers and sisters in Christ with him. Okay, so just a little video. It's early. About to continue making sure my little man ready for school. It's early and it's chilly up here. All right. Well, all praises to the Most High. And Minister Chris, I don't have no beef or no quarrel with you on that level. Like I said, I would hope that you would actually consider people like Jesus did to be your brothers and sisters, because that's what he did. When Jesus was around, he went to the hood, the ghetto. He didn't say, oh, you're not my brothers and sisters in Christ, and totally dismissed them. He corrected them. He did. And if they took it, they took it. If they didn't, they didn't. But brother, please, don't do that. I'm still your brother. We're still family. If your family came off the foundation of being descendants of slavery in America, you and I are related. I don't care if you like it or not. All right? I'm out.